Anybody want to know what I would do if I didn't win? I guess we'll never know.
Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC on ESPN. Giga Chikadze versus Edson Barboza. We've got a barn burner of a main event. Awesome kickboxing match. This is going to be the highest level we are going to see in an MMA cage. It's going to be really exciting. Great card to watch overall. So excited about it. We are coming off another profitable night last weekend. Just edged out some profit there, keeping our nice streak going this summer. Cashed 8 of the last 10 UFC events, up over 28 units for this summer. So really having a great summer. Gotta keep it going. Have another 4% package uploaded down, link in the description. 2 4% plays are loaded. Both of them hit last week. Really nice, so gotta keep it going overall. But we are gonna talk today, main event. We're also gonna just, maybe my 2 cents on the Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. I really want to get into that. A lot of people are asking me, what do you think? Who do you like? So I'm going to get into all of that. We will first get into Edson Barboza versus Giga Chikadze. I can't even speak right now because I'm thinking I'm really about to talk about Jake Paul in the show. But we're going to get into it. So again, want to look at some Wagertalk plays, link down there. And let's talk main event, Edson Barboza versus Giga Chikadze. And this is a great fight like I was talking about. Great high-level kickboxing matchup. Right now we've got the odds roughly around a pick'em, and I'm going to talk a little bit about, I'm kind of surprised where this line is and where it is at, but really a great fight overall. And we're going to do what we always do here. We're going to talk 3 fights for each fighter, their past, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other, and if it makes sense to place a wager. So we are going to talk first Edson Barboza, and boy, you know, this guy has fought a murderer's row of opponents, and we're going to first go 3 fights ago. He went up against Dan Ige. Now, this was an interesting fight here, and it's something that really happened a lot with Edson, which he really fought a lot of wrestlers. So he's fought a lot of wrestlers, a lot of grapplers. People want to take him down. They don't want to stand and bang with him. He's one of the elite when it comes to kickboxing and that stand-up striking game, his kicking arsenal, so many amazing things that he does. But this is a fight here where, you know, Ige has that opportunity to possibly look for the takedowns. But you saw early here in this fight, Barboza utilized those leg kicks. He went out there, looked to use some leg kicks, and then was able to drop Ige early in that first round, and that really dictated the pace of the fight. I think that you did see Ige kind of look to push forward. That's the big thing. You know, that's what everybody talks about. You gotta pressure, you know, move forward, cut the distance on Barboza. You don't want to allow him. You want to smother the kicking game that he has. Look to force him to box. Get him more in boxing range, and that's the path to victory. Or take him down. That's really kind of, everybody thinks that's the way to beat him. And obviously, Ige looked to do that, got dropped. I think he went in there a little bit too wild, got dropped, got on top. And really the first 2 rounds were really all Barboza. I mean, I thought he looked great in there. You know, he was defending the takedowns very well. You know, even there were spots there where, you know, Ige trying to cut that distance, trying to get closer, trying to, you know, and he couldn't really cut that distance as well, because I gotta say, I thought Barboza, his counter striking was phenomenal. I really thought that he went in there and he was able to really kind of, you know, as soon as, you know, Ige threw something, he was, you know, shifted his weight, looked to throw a counter, his hand speed looked really quick. He really put on a great performance there. Again, the first 2 rounds was him, and it showed a lot. And the one thing also, Barboza, you know, he's fought these really tough fighters, but he's also in the situation here where he's fought guys with just granite chins, and we're going to talk Shane Burgos in a minute here. But, you know, Ige took a boatload of shots, and he took a boatload of leg kicks. I mean, he was just not checking them, really kind of walked through them. I mean, I think it was Paul Felder that was on the announcer's table, and he was kind of saying, how is he not, he's not even flinching from these. He's taking the big shot, he keeps moving forward, and in that fight there, Ige toughs it out. He does go out there and get the split decision victory here. Now, this was a fight I actually did bet Ige. It was a climb play. We did cash on that, but I did believe that this was a spot where Edson Barboza did win. It was a 2-1 than I thought it was for Barboza, but Giga goes out there and gets that victory. 2 fights ago, he fought Makwan Americani, and this was another spot here where here's a wrestler. Here's somebody that's going to look for the takedowns. Here's somebody that's going to look to cut the distance. Here's somebody, and once again, Barboza, I thought he's really, when he's not fighting the elite level guys that he has fought for literally the last 8 years of his career, when he fights some guys that are kind of in that cusp, kind of in that, the next tier down, he really can display a lot of what he's phenomenal at. And again, his takedown defense is actually very good compared to what people think because, Khabib throws him down, Kevin Lee has been throwing him down. Those are the things that, stick in people's head. Here, Makwan was looking to do that, but you saw again, he drops Americani 2 times, multiple times in this fight, and it was the same kind of thing with Ige. Once Ige said, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to go for the takedown, I'm going to cut distance, as soon as I realized how the arsenal and how fast his hands are, how quick he's able to snap out those leg kicks, it starts to change your entire game plan there. So this was kind of the same situation. Americani got dropped a couple times, rocked, was looking for those takedowns, and this was the same thing again where late in the fight, Makwan gets successfully, finally starts to look for those takedowns. And Ige was able to kind of do that also late in that fight, get a takedown. I think Barboza threw a leg kick, and that's kind of his path there. But this was a sweeping decision victory for him. He goes out there, gets the job done. But Barboza looked great, I think, overall in that spot. Goes out there and gets a decision victory. And then most recently, the fight against Shane Burgos. And this was one of those fights that you gotta I rewatched this fight, and you forget how amazing this fight was. I mean, really, again, obviously I've seen it, but going in there and rewatching it, from the opening bell up until the fight ends, both of these guys are just going at it the way that they're able to fight. We were able to stand right there, and the one thing again that you did see, Barboza goes with the leg kicks. He started again with it, and right away he steps out and starts firing 2 or 3 of them. And this is again, you got Burgos, heavy boxer, heavy boxing kind of style compared to somebody like Giga, who obviously has the high credentials of the kickboxing. But this is a spot here where he knew he had a path to victory and said, I'm going to just start, chipping away and then work the combinations from up top. And in that first round, he rocked Burgos probably 2 or 3 times, didn't drop him, but rocked him. You could tell he kind of stumbled and went back, and that's another thing here, another granite chin that he's facing. You've got a guy like Burgos who is an absolute warrior, an absolute beast, takes shots, a brawler, willing to scrap, not scared to at all really, interact and have those exchanges with Barboza. He was walking him down heavy. Even when he was taking big shots, he was walking him down. Barboza was backing up a little bit, but he just, that forward pressure, he knows that's that path to victory. He kept pushing forward for it. And even, again, when he was trying to cut the distance, he wasn't able to, really go gun for gun with Barboza, because Barboza really again shows the just fantastic versatile striking that he has. Again, leg kicks, body kicks, he's throwing combinations up top, he'll throw something that's spinning all of a sudden. And I think this, these last few fights is really the best I thought Barboza has looked in a while. Again, when he's dominated in a grappling situation, it's tough for anybody, and he's losing to guys that are obviously top level. He's not losing to any bums here, but this was a spot here where Burgos is a fantastic fighter, strong guy, again, willing to stand, willing to push that pressure forward, but he goes out there and into that 3rd round, it looked like basically, again, this is a guy that Burgos looked okay. He was, busted up a little bit, but for a guy that was taking some of these crazy shots, I think it was, the first round was Barboza. Second round, I think, was also looking like Barboza, but it was kind of close. But then in that 3rd round, it was really just Barboza kind of going at it, throws a nice hook, and then, as we all remember, the kind of late reaction that, Burgos had, he got knocked, kind of fell down to the ground. Barboza gets the finish, end of story. So there you have it there. Now quickly on the other side, we're going to talk Giga, and basically he, where do I have my stuff here? 3 fights ago, he fought Omar Morales. Now this is a fight here, not going to get into this one very much. Really, this was just a great showing, a great stylistic matchup for Giga. He was outside a lot. He kind of worked his angles, really picked apart Morales. And I'm actually pretty high on Morales' skill set overall. I think he's got strength. I think that here he looked really drained also. And I think overall, he couldn't really stand toe to toe with him. Giga had a lot going on here. It was a sweeping decision victory. Not going to dive into it. This is a one-sided victory for Giga, so he goes out there and gets that decision victory. 2 fights ago, he fought Jamie Simmons. Now, this one here was one of those ones, you know, and UFC does this, you know, when they got a guy that they kind of maybe believe in or think, hey, let's kind of put it, you know, and again, of course, Giga's newer to MMA, you know, against the guy of Jamie Simmons, I think it was Simmons. He's, you know, Giga comes in there a -900 favorite. You know, Simmons is 7-4, I think was the record. I mean, he goes out there and you know, Jamie tried to take him down, trying to get the takedowns. Giga kind of shuffles away. You even hear, you know, the announcer's table saying, this absolutely looks like Giga setting everything up for a head kick. It looks like it. They said it, I think, 2 minutes before it even happened. Oh, he's loading up his hips. He's looking at it. And the only person that didn't realize it was Jamie Simmons, because Jamie Simmons got blasted in the head, goes out, fight over, first round, victory for Giga, gets that victory there. And then 3 fights ago, he fought Cub Swanson. Now, this was a client play here. It was, you know, I thought Giga kind of was able to really have a great, you know, the way they were matching up, it was really, really good for Giga in this spot. Cub Swanson, a hell of a fighter, a warrior. But in this spot here, I mean, you know, he kind of was trying to do the same thing, you know, trying to smother Giga, not allowing him to have space. And, you know, Cub definitely, you know, all the advantages when it comes to physical advantages really were going to Giga in this, where you're talking about reach and height and all these other things. And, you know, he was able to kind of circle on the outside. Giga Cub trying to cut that distance, and he throws a beautiful body kick that just folds Cub. Cub goes down, and from there, it was just a matter of time that he ends the fight, drops him, and gets on top, finishes the fight there. So Giga goes out there and gets another first round finish. So with that all being said, now again, I'm you know, obviously it's a high-level kickboxing matchup. Obviously these are two guys that are, you know, really going to stand and trade toe-to-toe. This is going to be a fight that really, finally, you know, kind of where Barboza doesn't fully have to look for the, you know, block the takedowns. And I think that also shows against Burgos. Burgos, you know, allowed that kind of path for him to kind of, okay, I can stand, I don't have to worry about the takedowns. But in this spot here, you've got somebody like Giga, who obviously has looked fantastic, you know, but he's, you know, beating a 37-year-old Cub, that's not going to fully do it for me there. I think Giga, again, looks great. But you've got, you know, the competition level here, and I'm very big on that. You know, when I go back and I'm capping and looking at, you know, obviously the price compared to who guys have faced, you know, compared to elevation, you know, are they, you know, continuing to, you know, hone in their craft? And this was a spot here where, you know, you look at where Barboza's fought. I mean, Barboza has fought the top level guys. I mean, you've got Khabib, Justin Gaethje, Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson, Dan Hooker. I mean, that's to say Anthony Pettis is another one. I mean, this has just been for the last 7 to 8 years. So obviously that is going to be where he's going to find some losses. But this is a kind of fight here where you take a look at it and, you know, Giga is not a spring chicken. He's not a guy that, you know, hey, he's an up-and-comer. He's, you know, he's going to be hungry and really start to change his game and start to really, you know, you've got to, you know, Barboza's 35, Giga's 33. Obviously, the transition, I think, that Giga is doing into MMA this late in his career, I think is really going to hurt him in this fight when you talk about experience in the cage. And obviously, again, competition level's huge. You've got, you know, all of that is going to be important. But I think the transition part of this, where, you know, but Barboza's facing elite level MMA fighters, and Giga's, you know, more in the kickboxing realm. So I think that is going to really favor him also, Barboza also. But I also think the competition level is one thing, but this is a massive step up in competition level for Giga. When you're talking about Cub Swanson, you know, Jamie Simmons, you know, you've got some of these guys that are just not really the big names, the guys that can really counter and stand and bang with you, and actually it is just as good as you are at that craft. So I just look at this spot here, you know, I think, you know, the key factors with a lot of it when you're talking about how they're going to be striking, how they're going to be standing, is the big part, again, the pressure that goes on Barboza, the pressure that he takes, you know, and this is a spot here where Giga actually has less volume, less output compared to Barboza. So for me in this spot here, that's a situation where, you know, the low volume coming out of Giga is going to allow Barboza to go out there and not have to worry about the pressure. I mean, of course, could he? Of course, there's going to be spots, obviously, but these guys are going to be ones that are going to look and trade. And I think the spot here is also where you're going to see those leg kicks. They're both going to be firing them. But I just really like how Barboza has looked. The combinations, the way that he's piecing everything together looks great. I think this is a great spot for him. But I think on top of that, there is an inch, I think it's an inch reach advantage for Barboza, which is obviously, that's not some massive advantage there. But the advantage also here is this is a spot where Barboza actually could utilize a takedown. And he's done it before, where he's able to go in there and level change, where guys are just worried about his offensive attack and what he brings to the cage. This is a spot here where he could actually go in there and look for a takedown. Now, is he going to look for submissions or that kind of thing? No, but could he kind of tire Giga out? Could he work some ground and pound? Because we see him throw some nice ground and pound when he's on top and in a good position. Giga, there's just no way that he has the grappling ability at any point over Barboza, where Barboza, again, his takedown defense is there. He's continued to hone in his grappling. A lot of those things to me point to Edson Barboza going out there and getting this job done. I really, really like this spot here. This is a great spot here for me. So I'm definitely going to be wagering Edson Barboza in this main event. I think this is just too much for Giga. Again, the transitioning late is one part of it, but I really think overall, I like what Barboza does. I think he has just faced killers, and this is just too much for Giga. I like it here at an evens price. Give me Edson Barboza as my play. And then the last thing we're going to talk about here, and this is a quick kind of breakdown of this, is the Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley boxing match. So here we are talking about this, and obviously now you've got the line minus 190 for Jake Paul, and you've got plus 148 roughly for Woodley. Now, first, before we get into it, let's dial this back for a minute here. And the big part here is, are you, and this is something where people even ask me, hey, who do you like? Who do you like in this fight? Are you even placing a wager? And I do have a very small wager on this fight. I did not go crazy on it. And I did the same kind of thing. I did bet the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren fight. And that fight to me, when people ask me, hey, do I like, who do I like in that fight? I ask, do you think that the first fight, or I'm sorry, the Askren versus Paul fight was real or fake? Because a lot of people are on that, hey, this fight was fixed, or this fight is a setup, or, this was just a show, or whatever. I mean, and do I know? Of course, nobody knows. What I do know is that was a real punch that landed on the face of Ben Askren. I mean, that landed. I mean, so does it say a lot? Does it mean a lot against somebody like Askren, who's a wrestler, who doesn't knock people out, who really has no stand-up game whatsoever? There's, all kinds of, clips of him doing these crazy spins and these weird strikes because he really just doesn't have the coordination to throw a strike. So I did bet very small again on Jake Paul against Ben Askren to get the victory. So to me, that part of it was part of what I was looking at that. But there was a clip, and when this fight first was announced, again, Ben Askren versus Jake Paul, I didn't know much about Jake Paul, as in a fighting, I've seen the dumb stuff that we've seen, but there was videos of him coming out, showing him doing pad work prior to the Askren fight. And I said, holy shit, this guy can throw a punch. And I was actually very impressed. I mean, I know some people are like, what, really? But I was really impressed by the combinations, the crispness, the power. He actually was showing some power in some of these combinations. So this is not a YouTuber anymore. This isn't a kid that just is, doing crazy stunts for YouTube. He's actually trying to transition into a fighter. And again, he circled himself with so many top-level boxers and retired guys. And I know that they're, all kind. I think it was Hopkins was there. Zab Judah was. They're all were kind of just helping him out. And somehow, again, I think he's paying top dollar to a lot of people to be coaches for him. So he's getting that kind of attention within the boxing community, and that's going to obviously help him. It's not like he's got one of his buddies coaching him here. So for me, I think that's a big part of this. That he actually has skill, and some people are not really putting that together and saying, was it a lucky punch? Did he fall down? I mean, Askren is. That was kind of a ridiculous fight to begin with when you look at the Ben Askren fight. But we also, a big piece of this is the downfall of Tyron Woodley. where is he now? Where is he mentally now? Where is he physically now? And that was a big question. He's lost, I think, 4 or 5 fights, whatever it was in a row that he lost. And, he even was kind of saying, I'm not really, he was kind of looking for money. He was kind of out there doing a record deal and movies, and he kind of got a little more Hollywood. And the one thing that I just can't get around, and this is also why I have been consistently betting against Tyron Woodley, is because of his physique. I mean, for a guy that was and again, he's 39 years old now, for a guy that was just a monster, an absolute monster, he doesn't look he looks a shell of the man that he used to be in the cage. It's not like he, again, if he kind of looked that same kind of physique and that power, he doesn't have that. And that worries me also when you're taking a look at what's kind of happening there. Is he doesn't look that killer. And also his mentality. Is this just a cash grab? Is this just kind of a grab where he's just kind of say, hey, you know what, I'm going to get paid a lot of money, and I'm going to really ride the coattails of Jake Paul. I mean, we got to remember, too, that this is the Jake Paul show when it comes to this event. And they're going to sell a ton of pay-per-views. It's going to be a big event. Now you've got all, how many media outlets coming out of it. This is Jake Paul show. Just signed to Showtime. I mean, there's a lot of people that are believing in his victories. There's a lot of people that think there's multiple big monster cash payouts coming, and big fights coming for him. These big money fights, and it's going to happen. I mean, if he knocks out Tyron Woodley, there's a really good chance that there's going to be another notch up. Maybe it will be a boxer. Maybe it will be one of these fight. I think it's Fury or whoever it was that was talking to him. So there are some things. So with all of those things really kind of pieced together, it's kind of hard to take Tyron Woodley here. I'm not going to lie, it's kind of hard to take Tyron Woodley. So I did place a bet a little while ago. I got it at -160 on Jake Paul. Again, this is not some big bet. This is more of a fun bet for me. So this isn't something that I'm just giving you my opinion on this. But again, this is not something that I say, hey, go place a lot of money on. I don't care what side you're on. Don't place a lot of money on this fight. But with that being said, I did bet it at -160. Small play here. I think that, again, this is a Jake Paul show. If it's fixed, I want the guy that they're probably fixing it for. But if you're looking for value in this spot, because, again, now it's at -190, that to me is almost a stay away. You're getting close to -200 on Jake Paul against Woodley. I don't like that price. Even -160 was a little bit much for me, but I took it. Is really the rounds. I mean, there are some great prices on picking a fighter and picking a round. And, the first round, second round, you've got they're plus 470, plus, 350. I'm seeing all books kind of having different ones for the first 3 or 4 rounds. I like that. I mean, I think this fight probably ends early anyway. I'm thinking that the first round may actually be a little bit slower, I think, because they actually realize, wait, I'm facing a real athlete at this point. But I think the sweet spot is that second and third round. I think there's a knockout. I think these guys are going to go at it. So I think at that crazy plus money that you can get, sprinkling some early rounds is worth it on this. But for me, I did bet Jake Paul, so everybody don't hate me here on this, but that's where I went there. So those are my 2 free plays for this weekend, and definitely subscribe, follow, like, all that great stuff, and I will see you on the next show. And this is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.